Now let's practice solving problems from geometry, where we are required to look at the area and the perimeter of two rectangles. Or more importantly, we're given one rectangle, and we have to come up with the second rectangle. Okay, and the second rectangle has to have the same area, but a different perimeter. And now, because I'm dealing with area, I'm going to tell about rectangles. I'm going to go ahead and write that formula. Area of a rectangle is calculated by the height of the rectangle multiplied by the width of the rectangle. And because we're talking about perimeter, I'm going to go ahead and write and say my perimeter formula. The perimeter of a rectangle is calculated by adding height dimension plus height dimension plus width dimension plus the width dimension. For a rectangle, for perimeter, I just have to add up all of the sides. When I'm doing perimeter, I am adding, and when I'm looking at area of a rectangle, I am multiplying. Okay? So I want to keep these two formulas in mind since I'm talking about rectangles, area, and rectangles, perimeter. So I am told to create a rectangle with the same area but a different perimeter. So if I need to come up with a rectangle that has the same area as this first rectangle, and the rectangle that I come up with has to have a different perimeter, then the first thing I need to do is figure out what area am I trying to get and what perimeter am I trying to avoid. So I need to look at Old Betsy, and I'm going to go ahead and name this rectangle Old Betsy. And so the area of Old Betsy, the rectangle, area of this rectangle, is going to be calculated by her height dimension multiplied by her width dimension. So I'm going to check. Old Betsy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units high. And Old Betsy is 1, 2 units wide. So Old Betsy has an area, 9 times 2, that is 18 square units. Now, Old Betsy's perimeter, the perimeter of Old Betsy, the rectangle, I'm going to have to use addition. I'm going to do height plus width plus width. 9 is her height. She's 9 units high, so 9 plus 9. And she is 2 units wide, so 2 plus 2. Old Betsy the rectangle has a perimeter. 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22. So Old Betsy has a perimeter of 20 units. Remember, area is always measured in square units, but perimeter is measured in just regular old units. So now we know some information about Old Betsy. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for a new rectangle. And the new rectangle that I'm going to look for, that I'm going to create, I'm told to create a rectangle. All right, I want to create a rectangle that also has an area that is 18 square units. But I want my new rectangle to not have a perimeter of 22 units. So it can have a perimeter of less than 22. It can have a perimeter greater than 22. It just cannot have a perimeter that is the exact same amount. That is exactly 22 units. Okay? And so the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm looking for an area of 18 square units, is I'm going to factor that area number 18. Okay? So my area number is 18, and I'm going to create a factoring chart. Well, my factor pairs would be 1 and 18, 2 and 9. Is 3 on the list? Well, let's see. My digit sum, 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 is a multiple of 3, and so yes, 3 is on the list. 3 times 6 is 18. Is 4 on the list? No, because 2 is being multiplied by an odd number. Is 5 on the list? No, because 18 does not end in a 0 or a 5. Is 6 on the list? Yes, because both 2 and 3 are on the list. That factor pair would be 6 and 3. I already have 3 and 6, and so I'm done. So now that I have factored the area number, these tell me the dimensions of my the dimensions that a rectangle could be. A rectangle could be 1 unit wide and 18 units high, or 18 units wide and 1 unit high. My rectangle could be, if it's going to have an area of 18 square units, it could be 9 units high and 2 units wide, or it could be 2 units high and 9 units wide. That would also have an area of 18 units. A rectangle could also be 6 units high and 3 units wide, or 3 units wide, 3 units high, and 6 units wide. Okay, so I have to pick the dimensions that's going to fit this problem. So could I have a rectangle that is 18 units high in this particular problem? Well, my grid only has a maximum of 10, and so these dimensions won't fit. Okay, I won't use those because they won't fit. Could my rectangle be 2 units wide and 9 units high? Yes. Yes, it could. But isn't that the same? If I had a rectangle that was 2 units wide and 9 units high, well, that is Old Betsy's dimension. I'm sorry, I said that backwards, didn't I? No, Old Betsy is 2 units wide and 9 units high. And if I rotated Old Betsy on her side, if I were to take this rectangle and turn it onto its side, well, it's still Old Betsy, even though suddenly Old Betsy looks like she's 2 units high and 9 units wide. And so these I can't use. These have already been used. Okay? They were already used by the original problem. And so 3 and 6, ding, 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 winner, winner, chicken dinner. My new rectangle can be 3 units high, 1, 2, 3, and 6 units wide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Three units high, 6 units wide. And so this new rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and call it New Betsy. Okay. Well, now New Betsy, I already know that New Betsy has an area of 18 square units, because New Betsy, the area of New Betsy, the rectangle, is calculated by her height multiplied by her width, and she is 3 units high and 6 units wide, and I know that 3 times 6 is 18, so that's 18 units squared. So I do have the same area. That part is correct. But now I need to check. I need a different perimeter. What is the perimeter of New Betsy, the rectangle? The perimeter of New Betsy, the rectangle, is calculated by height plus width plus width. New Betsy is 3 units high, so 3 plus 3 plus 6 plus 6, and she's 6 units wide. 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 units. So New Betsy. Alright. She is 3 units by 6 units. Okay, those are the dimensions of a different, that will have the same area but a different perimeter. Let's do one more problem and then we're going to look at the overall process. Let's do problem number 3. Alright, now this rectangle here, it says the rectangle below has dimensions of 5 and 6. I'm told to create a rectangle with the same area but a different perimeter. Okay, now this rectangle here is Old Joe. Okay, so the area of this rectangle, Old Joe is still a rectangle, and so his area is going to be calculated by height times width. Old Joe is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units high. And that makes him 5 units wide. 5 times 6, 6 times 5, that's 30 square units. And Old Joe has a perimeter. The perimeter of Old Joe is calculated by height plus width plus width. Old Joe is 6 units high, so that's 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5. 6 plus 6 is 12. 5 plus 5 is 10. 12 plus 5 is 22 units. So Old Joe has an area of 30 square units and a perimeter of 22 units. Now that I have figured out the area that I have to get and the perimeter that I have to avoid, I'm going to factor my area number. Okay, my area number is 30. So I will start, where do I start? 1 and 30. Is 30 even? Yes, so that's 2 times 15. 2 and 15. Is 3 on the list? Yes. 3 plus 0. The digit sum tells me that 3 is on the list. 3 times 10. Is 4 on the list? No. 2 is multiplied by an odd number. Is 5 on the list? Yes. This number ends in a 0 or a 5. 5 times 6. Is 6 on the list? Yes, because 2 and 3 are on the list. 6 and 5. When my factor pairs repeat, I'm done. So, now I need to look for a factor pair that would fit in this problem, fit on this grid. Okay. Well, 1 and 30 won't fit. Two and 15 won't fit. Five and 6 have already been used. Those are the dimensions of Old Joe. And so, winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm gonna explore 3 and 10 as my dimensions. If my rectangle were 3 units wide, 1, 2, 3, and 10 units high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well, then this New Joe here, New Joe, the area of New Joe, the rectangle, is calculated by height times width. And he's got a height of 10 units, and a width of 3 units. So that would give him an area of 30 square units. Okay, good, because I want the same area, so I have the same area. But I need to check that I have a different perimeter. The perimeter of New Joe, the rectangle, be height plus width plus width. The height is 10, 10 plus 10, the width is 3, 3 plus 3. 10 plus 10 is 20, 20 plus 3 is 23, 23 plus 3 is 26. So the perimeter of New Joe, the rectangle, is 26 units, regular old units. And so I have the same area. Old Joe and New Joe, they have the same area. And Old Joe had a perimeter of 22 units, and New Joe has a perimeter of 26 units. So I have my different perimeter. So problem number 3, the dimensions of New Joe. Well, he is a 10 by 3 rectangle. So now, let's take a look at the overall process, okay? Each time, what we have to do to solve these problems.